Hello, my friend, and welcome to episode 9 of the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show. My name is Aaron Machbitz, and this show is sponsored by Champions Adjust, which is a sports performance brand where we offer merchandise. We have a podcast that's released every single day, including this sports show once a week. But most importantly, Champions Adjust is a mindset program geared towards youth athletes. So if you're interested in that, go to champsadjust.com. But let's jump right in, and we'll start with the NFL and all of the new coaches hired. So we will rank the 6 new NFL coaches and basically decide who has made the best hire so far. With just one vacancy with the New Orleans Saints to go, we're almost finished with all of the 2025 NFL coaching cycle, and 6 NFL teams have made coaching changes and found their successors, with some hires making, much more sense than others. And so we've got some insights into all the coaches who have landed jobs in this cycle, starting with Dallas, very sort of perplexing promotion, and ending with the big move in the Windy City. So let's go through and rank all 6 NFL coaching hires so far. So 6, the Dallas Cowboys hire Brian Schottenheimer. Schottenheimer hasn't really done anything in the NFL so far to suggest sort of he's kind of the Kyle Shanahan level coach who can elevate your roster with his schematic prowess. So adding more talent is actually going to be key here for the Cowboys. It's not fair to completely write off Schottenheimer. Of course, we never know what he's going to be actually capable of as a head coach. He could be amazing. He could be great. But it's also a struggle right now to understand how this will all be different for Dallas than it was the last few years. And so for all that, we grade the Dallas Cowboys promoting Schottenheimer with a C. Now we go on to number 5, the Las Vegas Raiders hire Pete Carroll. I really like Pete Carroll. I've studied a lot of his work in terms of mindset, culture, and training when he was working with Michael Gervais, Dr. Michael Gervais, who's a sports psychologist. Him and Pete Carroll did a lot of work together, and I've gained a lot of understanding about mindset and high performance cultures from Pete Carroll and from Dr. Michael Gervais. So I just kind of like Pete Carroll and have a bias towards him, but this is a somewhat of an odd hire considering he's, in his later stages of his career. But the Las Vegas Raiders just need sort of someone like him potentially to, reverse their culture, change it, upgrade them, and all of these sort of things. And so in Carroll's late stage Seahawks, he averaged 9.5 wins per season from 2017 to 2023, but really managed only one single playoff victory in that stretch. With so much work to be done, like I said, for the Raiders, it's fair to wonder whether this sort of heightened mediocrity that Carroll had late in his career is what's best for them. Again, I really like Pete Carroll, but he was very mediocre from 2017 to 2023, and the Las Vegas Raiders need a lot of work. It's also fair to wonder if Las Vegas, having missed out on Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and Liam Cohen, could have done any better. So basically, for that reason, Carroll's hiring nets a B-, which is not bad for the Raiders, who need a lot of work. And then you go into number 4, which is the New York Jets hired Aaron Glenn. Really a franchise known for dysfunction, made a strong decision with Glenn. They did. After drifting away from Robert Saleh, which was quite weird and didn't make any sense, they found another adult in the room once more in Aaron Glenn that will raise their floor potentially enough to keep them from finding a franchise quarterback in the draft. Will it be enough to meaningfully improve on the 7-10 sort of stasis they've been at in the recent past? It's way too soon to tell, obviously, so we're just speaking before anything happens. But Glenn is very smart, very defensible choice, easily defensible choice for the Jets, who always need a lot of work. We're also thinking about what'll Aaron Rodgers be and what's that situation going to be like. And so there's a lot of moving pieces in the Jets, again, known for their dysfunction. And so that earns the Jets a solid B at the end of their coaching search. And so that's pretty good. B is pretty good. And then we talked about this, I believe on last week's show, which Mike Vrabel will go into a little bit more here because we're just ranking the 6 hires. So we know the New England Patriots, they were the first hired Mike Vrabel. Vrabel's track record suggests he's well attuned to the league, that's seeing more and more value from this like run heavy game plans. We can see that with the Eagles moving on to the playoffs, with Saquon Barkley just dominating everyone that he comes up against. We have a heavy game plans that open up the passing lanes for young-ish quarterbacks. You can see like Justin Herbert in Los Angeles or Lamar Jackson's latest masterpiece in Baltimore. This was the most logical hire for a team in dire need of an easy win. We talked about that again last week, but we're just reinforcing it here with the ranking of our new hires. So for that reason, the Patriots hiring of Mike Vrabel rates a B+. Pretty good. So maybe the Patriots will go back to their old glory with Belichick and Brady. We'll see with Vrabel and Drake May. Potentially that could be the pairing that they need. So we'll see. But I think that's a good hire, and they get a B+ for that hire. And then you go into number 2 with the Jacksonville Jaguars hiring Liam Cohen. Cohen spurned a return to Tampa Bay for a job in Jacksonville, where he'll be asked with taxing to sort of maximize quarterback Trevor Lawrence, who already got a monster contract and had a downturn in recent years. He got this massive contract, hasn't played as well recently, and so the circumstances around Cohen's hire were frustrating, very frustrating for Bucs fans, but the move makes plenty of sense for the Jaguars. Tampa Bay had one of the best offenses in the NFL, led by Baker Mayfield. Love Baker Mayfield. And Cohen should have plenty of fun scheming up the Jaguars offense with electric young talents like wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. and running back Travis Etienne. The Jacksonville defense needs a lot of work. The coaching hires on that side of the ball will be very, very crucial. Nevertheless, this is a real win for Jacksonville. Potentially, you can see Trevor Lawrence get back to sort of what we originally thought he was going to be before he got this monster freaking contract. And so after nearly losing Cohen, the Jaguars got their guy. For that, we will grade this hire as an A-, which is pretty good. And then you got the last one, the Chicago Bears hire Ben Johnson, right? Johnson is the flashiest play caller to land an NFL coaching job since Kyle Shanahan. We mentioned Kyle Shanahan in regards to the Dallas Cowboys hire, Brian Schottenheimer. And so this guy, Ben Johnson's actually the man, right? We know that he's the man. And again, the most flashiest play caller to get a head coaching job since Kyle Shanahan joined the San Francisco 49ers in 2017. And Shanahan has never had a quarterback as talented as Williams at his disposal. Yes, we know that Caleb Williams has all the tools in the book. Physical tools aren't everything. We know that mental tools are just as important, as we see that with how Jaden Daniels has played. We know that the intangibles at quarterback are just as important as the physical tools. And yes, you need good coaching, you need a good offensive line, you need a good scheme to help you put together your physical tools out on the field, but you also need the mental makeup, the mental toughness, and the mental skills to be able to put that into fruition, sort of regardless of the external circumstances. And so this hire should absolutely get Bears fans incredibly excited for what potentially could be. However, this is just a start, right? They need a lot more. Johnson's ability to translate his success as a coordinator to being a head coach obviously is yet to be determined. This is way before the season starts, but it's on a good trajectory. Building a good defense, building a good offensive line is extremely important, and failure there could quickly derail any potential glowing future in the Windy City, especially for Caleb Williams and that offense. As long as the right offensive line is set in place, Johnson's tenure with the Bears should be a very, very exciting one. Again, for that, the Bears hiring of Johnson gets an A+, and the number one hire so far with just one vacancy left for the coaching search of 2025, which basically happens every year. And so we'll see how that pans out next season, because we're just about to finish this season. So let's move on to the NFL playoffs, because we had the NFC and the AFC championship games happen, where you had the Eagles beat the Commanders and you had the Chiefs beat the Bills. So we will see the Chiefs versus the Eagles in the Super Bowl once more. And let's sort of break down and react to some of those games. So first, you had the Eagles defeating the Commanders in the NFC title game to run their record to 17-3 and clinch a trip to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. This is the best news for the Eagles for now, is that they looked more like their old selves in the game and any other game that they had in over a month. They didn't just have to ride the back of Barkley, who's been absolutely incredible and dominant, 15 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They actually got huge contributions from Hurts, too. He was 20 of 28 for 246 yards and a touchdown before he pulled the curtain call with a little less than 4 minutes left in the game. He also ran for 3 touchdowns, 2 on the little tush pushes, and 1 on an impressive 9-yard dart through the Commanders' defense. So with all of that, that's really good. The Eagles looked, better than they have all last month. They still managed to get to the NFC Championship game with those hiccups, and now they're headed back to the Super Bowl, seemingly firing on all cylinders, which they will absolutely need to if they want to beat the defending champs Chiefs, because you can't lack in any sort of area of the game if you want to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs know how to win, and they're heading to try and win their 3rd Super Bowl. We'll get into that in a second, but this is what the Eagles needed to see. They knew they had the Barkley-powered running game. Again, maybe the most impressive running back season we've ever seen in the history of the NFL, including the playoffs. They know they had a defense, right, which forced 4 Washington turnovers, which really cost them the game. And they were pretty sure they knew about Hurts too, but hadn't seen him play like himself in a while. There's some injury stuff, this stuff, that stuff, whatever. But now they head to New Orleans, firing on all cylinders as they try to win their 2nd Super Bowl championship in the past 8 years. They lost to the Chiefs a couple years back. That's when the Chiefs started this sort of 3-peat run. And so they'll get another crack at him, but I do think the Chiefs will end up winning. But again, getting ahead of myself, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs as they continue to drive forward for this NFL 3-peat. They survived a very classic AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, scoring the winning points on Harrison Butker's 35-yard field goal with 3 minutes and 33 seconds remaining for a 32-29 victory. The Bills did have a chance to pull off a win, but the Chiefs got a really, really, really important stop and then ended up getting a first down and ended up winning the game. The Bills have now lost all 4 postseason meetings against the Mahomes-led Chiefs team since 2020 and have dropped 8 straight road playoff games. Allen-led Bills teams are 0-2 in the AFC Championship game. It's just it's tough. It's tough to beat the freaking Chiefs in the playoffs right now, because they know how to win. They get it done. Mahomes is a heartbreaker. He's a closer. He's just like a stone cold winner. In a sense, he's greedy, right? He has this insatiable hunger, and he has no reservations about making sure there are no other Super Bowl appearances available in the AFC for anyone but him and his team. They all need to be his, but that's what great quarterbacks do. They kill the dreams of others. I mean, you can see how just distraught and dejected and sad Allen was in the post-game meetings. Of course, he wanted this. He wanted this for his team, his teammates, for his city, for himself, for all of it. But Mahomes just kills the dreams of others. They just don't dwell on the emotions of others. They just keep collecting wins. Him and Andy Reid and Kelsey just keep collecting wins. Mahomes is building a resume right now to be the greatest of all time. Just like Brady kept Super Bowls away from Manning and Breeze and Phillip Rivers, Mahomes is blocking his AFC peers out from everything. And that ruthlessness is how Mahomes is making his way up the list of greats. Mahomes is 2nd in playoff wins at 17, but he's not far behind Brady at 21. He's going to pass that at some point, right? He gets basically 2 or 3 playoff wins every single season. Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl wins. If he wins his 4th, he would tie Joe Montana, second to only Brady, who has 7. If Mahomes wins at the Super Bowl, he'll do something that no one else has ever done. He'll do a 3-peat. It's hard to doubt Mahomes, and the Chiefs will win even after the Eagles put up 55 points in the NFC Championship. They played a far less superior team in the Commanders, who had an amazing year with Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn, taking them all the way to the NFC Championship game, which is amazing. Kudos to them. But the Chiefs are not like them. They will not turn over the ball 4 times. They will not make the same mistakes the Commanders did, because they play tight football and they know how to win in these situations, and they don't let the game get too big. They stay right where they need to, and they focus on what's right in front of them, playing one snap at a time, knowing that they can get the job done because they've gotten the job done before. So now Jalen Hurts is Mahomes' next victim. It wasn't more than 2 years ago when Mahomes beat Hurts in the Super Bowl. Can Mahomes do it again? I believe that he can. I believe that he will. I believe that we'll see history, and we're seeing it unfold right in front of our eyes. I think the Chiefs will have a 3-peat. But there you have it. You have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are officially headed to the Super Bowl on Sunday, February 9th at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. The Chiefs will 3-peat. But again, I've been literally wrong about everything. I picked the Bills and the Lions to win, to go to the Super Bowl, and the Bills to win. Then I picked the Bills versus the Commanders, but it's the Chiefs versus the Eagles. So literally don't listen to me when it comes to making picks. I can't bet against the Chiefs. It's unbelievable what they've done. And you can just see that Again, big time players and big time teams find a way no matter what, whether it's ugly, it's pretty, it doesn't matter how it looks. They just get it done when they need to get it done because of these intangible skills. Every player in the NFL, every player really in all major sports, NBA, MLB, NFL, all of these major sports have the physical tools to get it done. They all have it. They all have it. Or else they wouldn't be at that level because they're physically gifted enough to be at that level. What makes winners win and people better than others, especially in these high pressure, high intense, lights are on brightest situations, is the intangible mental skills that they've worked on to get it done. Lamar Jackson mentioned that previous. He psychs himself out. Okay, he had to work on his self-talk and calming down and stepping into the present moment and understanding that nerves are excitement. Okay, why is Mahomes better than everyone else? Because he knows he has this intense trust in himself. What is intense trust? Well, that's confidence. Confidence is built on a couple things: preparation, previous success, and self-talk. Mahomes puts all three of those things together to create a winning culture with him and his team. They prepare. They prepare to win because they know they can win. They're confident. They're confident because they've had previous successes over and over and over that give them the credible evidence to have the self-talk and the belief in themselves that they do, and they carry that onto the field one play at a time. And so they have all these intangible skills. I mentioned Caleb Williams. Yeah, Caleb Williams is physically gifted like we've never seen before. But what separates him and Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels has the poise, the calm, the demeanor, the intangible skills that separate him from the pack, that allow him to do what no other rookie has ever done in the history of the NFL. So it's, yes, we have to look at these guys and their physical skills, but what's always going to be the separator is the intangibles, is the thing you can't see, is the culture, is the character, is the mental skills, the stuff they do when no one is watching to make sure that they're uber prepared as possible when they step on that field. Because preparation is the key to success, and it's also the key to confidence. And if you're uber prepared, if you're as prepared as you possibly can be, it doesn't matter if the lights are shining bright. You say to yourself, this is just another game. This is just another game. It's just another game. Yeah, there happens to be a lot of people watching. Yeah, if we win, we happen to go to the Super Bowl, but it's just another football game. And I've been doing this my whole life. And that's the self-talk. That's how you do it. That's how the best did it. That's how Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, Derek Jeter, that's how all of these guys do it. Patrick Mahomes, that's how they do it. They prepare and they have the mental and psychological skills that they can step into any environment and know that they can get it done. There's a belief there, and that spreads throughout every player on the roster, every coach on the roster. That's what culture really is. There's a standard that they set, and it's beautiful to watch in real time. So that's NFL playoffs, coaches, all of that good stuff. Let's move on to the greatest sport in the world, Major League Baseball. And let's talk about some Major League Baseball news, and then we'll end with some Hall of Fame stuff, which is a great topic when it comes to Major League Baseball. The Red Sox continue to be engaged with free agent infielder Alex Bregman. There is a caveat, though, to Boston's interest. However, as the Red Sox would prefer any agreement to be in a short-term variety, meaning a contract no longer than 4 years. So this may sort of boot the Red Sox out of actually getting Alex Bregman because of that. So it's unclear if they're considered to be a serious threat to land Bregman, because he's reportedly been offered longer deals with other teams. And so on that note, we've heard that the Astros manager, Joe Espada, said he was optimistic Bregman could still return to Houston. Now, this is interesting because throughout the whole winter, we've been hearing Bregman's gone. He was going to the Blue Jays. He was going to Detroit. He was potentially going to Boston. Obviously, you just heard that. And so now they're optimistic that he's going to return to Houston, which really makes them a formidable team again. I mean, they already gave away Kyle Tucker and some other people. And so keeping Bregman would be huge. They did sign, who'd they sign? The acquisition of Isaac Paredes and Christian Walker gives the Astros a crowded infield, right? So that's why people are still thinking that Alex Bregman will be gone. But you hear from the manager saying he's optimistic that Bregman could still return to Houston. So fortunately for Houston's Bregman, aspirations of the franchise second baseman, Jose Altuve, is willing to make it work. Here's what he told The Athletic. Altuve is willing to do anything to keep Bregman, even leave his middle infield position where he's one of the best second basemen of all time. The face of Houston's franchise acknowledged on Saturday he's willing to move off of second base and maybe into the outfield to accommodate a reunion with Bregman. Altuve could shift to, say, left field, which would allow Isaac to play second base and Bregman to be installed back at his premium position of third base. Of course, the Astros may have to move some money before they can bring Bregman back. Then, as that was talked about, the Chicago Cubs finalized a trade to acquire Ryan Presley from the Houston Astros. Presley will waive his no trade clause to Chicago to facilitate the move, and Houston will send over money to help cover his $14 million salary, but they don't have to cover the whole thing. And so this deal could potentially help the Astros retain that longtime third baseman, Alex Bregman, who basically was talked about the whole winter that he's leaving. And now they trade Presley. They open up some cap room. He got offered a short deal from Houston. I guess he doesn't want to go to Detroit or the Blue Jays. I would love for him to stay in Houston because I like when players stay with teams for their whole career. It's beautiful. I mean, we saw that with Derek Jeter. And so whatever they can do for optimistically for him to return or retain Bregman. Yes, it's tough for my Rangers because we have to face Alex Bregman all the time and he's amazing, but I think it's cool for baseball and just the franchise player that Bregman is. And so we saw that. And then the Blue Jays and outfielder Anthony Santander are in agreement on a deal. His deal is worth 5 years, a little more than 90 million, which is great for the Blue Jays. They got another power hitter. And then you saw right-handed reliever Paul Sewald and the Cleveland Guardians are in agreement on a 1-year, $7 million contract. It also includes a mutual option for the 2026 season. And then probably the biggest signing over the last week is outfielder Jurickson Profar, and the Atlanta Braves have finalized a free agent contract. Profar was an okay player for a long time, a highly touted prospect. He was okay for the Rangers, shuffled around a bit, got to the Padres, became an all-star, and then gets this massive deal. Not that massive, but pretty massive deal with the Atlanta Braves. The deal's 3 years, $42 million, and he'll join Harris and Acuna Jr. to form one of the game's best outfields. The Braves have been really quiet all winter, but this Profar get is really big. And again, they're a playoff team. They got a lot of really, really good players in their team, especially if Acuna is coming back healthy and going to be the MVP candidate, or the MVP, that we know him to be. And so that's really all the news in that regard. Very exciting winter for baseball. We're really only 60 days-ish away from MLB opening day. Happens in March. That's freaking awesome. Then we can really dive into MLB news every week on this show. But now let's jump into Baseball Hall of Fame, which is always a contentious topic when I personally think that there are many guys not in the Hall of Fame who should be. Mostly Barry Bonds, who's the greatest baseball player of all time, not being in the Hall of Fame is very odd and weird. Same with Pete Rose, but it is what it is. Let's talk about the guys who did get in and give them their flowers because they deserve that. So you saw the 2025 Baseball Hall of Fame class will include 5 players: Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner will join Dick Allen and Dave Parker in Cooperstown this summer. Suzuki, Sabathia, and Wagner were all named on at least 75% of the ballots. That's the threshold you need to gain induction from the qualified voters. And I think there needs to be better voters that are actually qualified, but that's probably a discussion for another time. Ichiro was selected with 99.7% of the votes, making him the first Japanese player inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. That's incredible. We may see a couple more, and they may all play for the Dodgers. Ichiro is a paragon of style who made the single cool again and was much of a student of the game and his craft as sort of any player in his generation. Everyone loves Ichiro. He had an absolute cannon, was one of the best hitters of all time. Again, made the single cool. And Ichiro's MLB career didn't start until he was 27 years old, and he still finished with over 3,000 hits. He played 19 seasons in the big leagues before retiring at 45 and could probably still hit major league pitching right now. Before that, he even spent 9 years in Japan and batted .353 with another almost 1,300 hits. The dude is just a hit machine. He's an all-time great. Congratulations to Suzuki. I don't know a baseball fan or a baseball player who doesn't like Ichiro. The dude's just cool. He's very cool. Mariano Rivera was elected in 2019, and he remains the only unanimous inductee. Suzuki was one vote shy away. I'd like to know who that guy was. Stupid, obviously, but the next highest percentage previously belonged to Derek Jeter at 99.7, Ken Griffey at 99.3, Tom Seaver at 98.8, and Nolan Ryan at 98.8. Again, Barry Bonds and Pete Rose should be in. They should also be unanimous voters, but whatever. I'm salty about it. I'll probably keep talking about it. Anyways, like Suzuki, Sabathia was also a first-timer on the ballot and gets in at 86.8% of the vote. Everyone loves CC2. He was a workhorse, a leader, just a big game monster, and one of the most beloved teammates around. Spent 19 years in the big leagues, more than 250 wins, and more than 3,000 strikeouts. Sort of numbers you really don't see anymore. Wish we would. I mean, maybe the last pitchers to have that are like Verlander, Kershaw, and Scherzer. Everyone else is like their arm hurts all the time or some bullshit. So CC Sabathia was a workhorse and the man, and everyone in New York absolutely loves him. And yeah, pumped for that guy. On the opposite end of that is Wagner, who was in his 10th and final year on the ballot. He was either going to fall off without making the Hall of Fame or get in, and he makes it in with 82.5% of the votes. So congratulations to him. Wagner was a forebearer for the current generation of relievers, just a hard-throwing, strikeout-loving, tough-to-hit beast of a closer, and I'm glad he's in. That's awesome. Congrats to those three guys, Suzuki, Sabathia, and Wagner. Beautiful. Baseball Hall of Fame, for the most part, is the most prestigious Hall of Fame in all of sports. So if you make it into the Baseball Hall of Fame, it really says something about you and your career. And cheers to those guys who are absolute studs at the game. And then Carlos Beltran just missed it by 19 votes. Andrew Jones, Chase Utley, Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, Andy Pettitte, Bobby Abreu, Felix Hernandez, Jimmy Rollins, Omar Vizquel, Mark Burley, David Wright, and Francisco Rodriguez will remain on the ballot moving to next year, joining some first-timers like Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, and Alex Gordon. I think Beltran, Jones, Abreu, and Hernandez, in my opinion, eventually will make the Hall of Fame, and I think they'll get voted in. Again, Beltran was only 19 votes away, but I think him, Jones, Abreu, and Hernandez are Hall of Famers, and eventually they'll get in. Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, maybe. Alex Gordon, definitely not a Hall of Famer. It's cool that he's on the list. Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, sort of on the fringe. They both had some really good couple years where they were really dominant, but didn't have the longevity of, say, like a Beltran or a Ichiro Suzuki or someone like that who had a long career of dominance. So it'll be the voters to check out, but I think it's also pretty ridiculous and insane. I've said this multiple times, but I'll just, stamp home the point. It's pretty ridiculous and insane that A-Rod, Manny Ramirez, Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Pete Rose are not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you saw, I just mentioned A-Rod and Manny Ramirez did not get enough votes. Manny Ramirez is probably top 3 greatest right-handed hitters of all time, potentially A-Rod as well. Has got just monster numbers. Clemens, one of the best pitchers to ever play. Pete Rose, one of the best hitters to ever hit. And Barry Bonds, just overall the greatest baseball player of all time. I don't care about sort of the asterisks next to their names. They're still the best players at baseball. And if you're making a exclusive club of Baseball Hall of Fame, those players have to be in it, or else it just looks weird and tainted and it doesn't make sense, especially Pete Rose. Nothing happened to his physical stature in his game. He just, bet on the game, whatever. Like, let him in the Hall of Fame. He leads the whole world in hits. Like, I don't understand. And Barry Bonds is the greatest player of all time. So it's a little weird, but it still remains that the Baseball Hall of Fame is the most exclusive club in all the Hall of Fame. So anytime you get in or voted in, it's very prestigious, very cool. And you have to really, really, really put up the numbers and their career to be able to be inducted in that type of Hall of Fame. But to wrap us up, I think Albert Pujols, when he gets on the ballot, might be the next guy who gets 100% of the votes like Rivera did. I'm shocked that Ichiro Suzuki didn't, because he was considered just loved by everyone and one of the best hitters of all time. But I think Albert Pujols may be the next guy who gets 100% of the votes like Mariano Rivera did. Be the only 2 guys that get 100% of the votes in the history of Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. So we'll see. That could potentially happen. I love Albert Pujols. He was my favorite player growing up. And so I think it would be really cool if he got a unanimous amount of votes. I would love to know the person who doesn't vote him in, why they think that. I would love to know why they didn't vote for Ichiro Suzuki. But, it is what it is. I think that'll happen. And, that's how the cookie crumbles. But I think that's all I have for you in terms of the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show this week. So thank you for your time and attention. And if you need anything Champions Adjust related, hats, merchandise, clothing, apparel, mindset, podcast, anything Champions Adjust related, just head over to champsadjust.com. And I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Cheers.